Thank you so much. Over to you, Nitinji.
Thank you, Sandhya, and Radhe Radhe. Good morning, good evening, everyone. A very warm welcome to today's edition of Daily Wisdom from Bhagavad Gita. Thank you, Brana, for a wonderful session, like always. So let me share my screen and we will get started with today's topic of discussion, Bhagavad Gita. So we make it full screen and we'll start with our opening prayers like we always do. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. So Radhe Radhe, good morning, good evening everyone. Let's get started. I hope you're having a good day or had a great day. Start to your day as well. So let's start with our opening. We're going to talk about mind management series. As part of the series, we are talking about habits. So today we'll talk a little bit about till the ground around how do we break the gravitational pull of bad habits. So why it is called a gravitational pull? Because it happens automatically. We don't have to put an effort for the stone has to come down, it will come down on its own. But if we have to throw it up, that's what takes effort. And what we are going to talk about today is how do we break that gravitational pull. This is where we are going to spend at least the next few sessions as part of this series. So give me a sec. All right. So here are two people talking, and they have heard about good habits, bad habits, power of habits and stuff like that, and they said it's important to break certain habits, right? So what they're conversing is, I've been advised to change my habits, so I'm giving up the good ones. They are easier to stop than the bad ones. Don't we see that always? In order to break a bad habit, it takes effort. If you have to give up a good habit, it doesn't take much time. It comes very naturally. Does it take us effort to be lazy? It doesn't take effort. But for us to come out of laziness, it takes effort. And that is how the world is designed. Anything that is worth pursuing takes effort. And God says you earn it, and everything you'll have to earn it. And same goes with the habit as well. And it is said that even if you spend time, you exert your willpower and why power, which we are going to again revisit, to imbibe a new good habits. If you leave it for 3 to 4 days, that habit is gone, and it is also called habit suicide. So it doesn't take much for us to get back into the old habits or the old ways, because that is how our conditioning is. And life is a do-it-yourself project. So when it comes to giving up bad habits, this is also do-it-yourself project. Actually speaking, it is undo it yourself project. You have to undo it. Once you have gone into it, you have to undo it. So any bad habit that we make, we have to undo it. It's like digging a pit for yourself, and then you have to climb over it. And it is also said that the best way to break a bad habit is to not form one to begin with. That is the best way. It's easy to get sucked into bad habits, and then people struggle. People go to rehabs, then they struggle through so many things, right? I remember one of my uncles, he was struggling to give up smoking. So what he would do is he would keep few cigarettes a day, not a pack, and then he started cutting the cigarettes, into smaller things. And even after that, it took him a while to give it up. He would simply hold it, just to get that feel, even though he's not smoking. And even after so much of efforts, he again would come back to it every now and then. That is how powerful these habits become. So the key here is that we have to break the gravitational pull of bad habits, and it's an undo it yourself project. And the best way to not come across this situation is not to build one to begin with, right? If you can avoid it, and when we have the knowledge, it's better not to get into the lane that you don't want to visit, because once we get into it, then it takes effort to break that habit. So it's an undo it yourself project is what it ends up becoming. In Canada, it is said that you have snow pathways, and once you pick up a pathway, you are stuck in it for 10 to 15 kilometers. By the way, they also have SI system. I don't know why US only has not adopted SI system. I've started thinking in miles now. Previously, it used to be kilometers. Canada also it is kilometers and kilogram, not pounds and miles. So there you say once you are stuck in that pathway, you are stuck there for 10 to 15 miles. So that is why it is said, I think the beginning itself, they say that choose your rut wisely, because once you are there, you are stuck in it. And same thing goes with the bad habits as well. Once you are there, you are stuck with it. And it takes a lot of effort to break that gravitational pull, which is how these habits start influencing our life and taking control over our lives as well. So we'll continue on this topic. Now let's get to the Bhagavad Gita topic that we have, and we'll take three hands and get started with our today's discussion. बाह्यस्पर्शेष्वसक्तात्मा विन्दत्यात्मनि यत्सुखम् स ब्रह्मयोगयुक्तात्मा अक्षयमश्नुते. All right, let's take three hands and then we'll get started.
Radhe Radhe Riya ji, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe Riya ji.
बाह्यस्पर्शेष्वसक्तात्मा विन्दत्यात्मनि यत्सुखम् स ब्रह्मयोगयुक्तात्मा सुखम् अक्षयमश्नुते. Radhe
Thank you,
Radhe.
Riya ji. Radhe.
Radhe Radhe Sandhya ji.
Yeah, let's
Radhe
take
Radhe.
three more hands and then we'll get started. Radhe Radhe Sandhya.
बाह्यस्पर्शेष्वसक्तात्मा विन्दयात्मनि यत्सुखम् स ब्रह्मयोगयुक्तात्मा सुखम् अक्षयमश्नुते.
Very nice, thank you. Let's take two more hands.
Radhe Radhe Uday ji.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe. बाह्यस्पर्शेष्वशक्तात्मा विन्द्यत्तात्मनि यत्सुखं स ब्रह्मयोगयुक्तात्मा सुखम् अक्षयम् अश्नुते. राधे
Thank you.
राधे.
Radhe Radhe. Aparna ji.
Radhe Radhe. बाह्यस्पर्शेष्वसक्तात्मा विन्दत्यात्मनि यत्सुखम् स ब्रह्मयोगयुक्तात्मा सुखम् अक्षयम् अश्नुते. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll take the last one. Tejas, please go ahead because your video is Ragi ji tomorrow. Please, yes, go ahead, Tejas.
All right. Bahyasparshesha Vindyatmani Yatsukam Sa Brahma Yoga Yuktatma Sukam Akshayam Ashnute.
Yes, Tejas, thank you. So let's get started. In this shloka, Lord Krishna is saying those who are not attached to external sense pleasures realize divine bliss in the self. Being united with God through yoga, they experience unending happiness. So we've spoken about why God is bliss, and we spent a good amount of time in that session. So let's continue on this discussion. We'll peel a few more layers on this concept. So we saw these species, who are attached to sense of taste, sense of sound, sense of touch, sense of smell, sense of sight. That does their undoing. One sense is enough to bring down a species. So all these creatures, they get drawn towards their death by one of their senses. Now just imagine the fate of human beings who are endowed with five senses, not just one. Right? So it's 5 times more. They call it the exposure, right? The risk exposure, we have 5 times more. However, these species, each one of these species, they die. Why do they die? No. The first justification is they don't know that it is a trap. They don't have that intellect because they're animals. And the second is the enjoyment was extremely immense for them that led them there. These are the two reasons why these species meet the fate that they do. These two rather. So these 5 animals meet death because of their bondage to one of these 5 senses. Now we are attached to all the 5 senses. Just imagine our condition. Now with humans, we can question this. The justification for these species is they don't know that it is a trap. Now you see the tobacco, there's a pretty good statutory warning that it kills. It's dangerous. Even in movies, they show that. I think there's a mandate. Do we see people stop doing that? They still don't do that, right? So as humans, that's the problem. We continue to operate like there's no intellect, and and we continue to behave like animals when it comes to choosing certain things, because the pleasure is that comes out of it is extremely immense. We feel addicted to it. We are talking about bad habits. That's how we pick it up, right? Nobody enjoys smoking to begin with. Kid doesn't even know that. In fact, when people try it for the first time, smoking, or for that matter, even drinking, it's very repulsive, that experience is. But then their intellect tells us it is cool. Other people do it. There must be some kind of a kick or a happiness out of it, and they persist with it. And that's how they build the habit. So the gratifications or our senses go for the gratification part of it. And our scriptures are saying rather than going for gratification, go for purification. Only when you go for purification would you be entitled for the bliss that Lord Krishna is talking about in this shloka. We have to withdraw our senses, which are externally facing inward, and then we can tap into the fountain of bliss that each one of us is carrying within us, is essentially the message here. So let's go a little deeper into the shloka as well. You see this gentleman? I like this every time I see it, right? What you're looking for is already inside you, right? He's already consumed that. So this is musk deer, or the kasturi mrig, as they call it. Now it is searching for a particular aroma that is coming in, and it keeps on searching for it. It keeps on searching for it, keeps on searching for it. Our scriptures have given us this. One of the main goals for this deer is to find the source of this fragrance, the beautiful fragrance that is coming in. Now it reminds me of, does anybody remember who this character is? He was a pretty interesting, I don't know, when I read that in my storybook, it was pretty long back, probably KG or nursery or first maybe, which was not too many years back, by the way. I found it pretty interesting. This guy throughout the story was asking for his glasses. Everybody in the world, he's asking his wife, his kid, and everybody, where's my glasses? He's making a huge big deal about it. And I was wondering, why would he do that? He's carrying those glasses in his eyes, right? So it can happen with us. So this character was Kuchu, basically. It's like this only, right? Where are my glasses syndrome? So the point here is that what we are seeking for is already within us, is the scriptures are telling us. The fountain of bliss. We are all seeking happiness and bliss. We have spoken about that topic in um, multiple times in detail, because we are fragmental parts of God, and God is bliss. And as part of God, we have to seek the whole, and that is why we are wired, programmed um, to seek bliss. That is the very basis of our existence. Every act that we would do in this world is to seek bliss. Nobody seeks misery. And that bliss, our scriptures are telling, is within you only. You don't have to seek it from anything outside, on the outside rather. And this bliss is very much within you. So this is like the deer. Another example that is given is this principle of mirage. We see that when the sun rays, they the reflection in the desert gives an illusion of water in a desert, which is called a mirage. So the deer sees those sun rays, converging on the sand, and it gives it a kind of a feeling that there is water, and of course it is thirsty, so it chases that, And when it chases, it moves further away, and then it continues to chase until it realizes there was no water there. Right? And this is exactly the state of human beings. Right? The world is called Mrig Trishna in the scriptures. It is like the mirage seen by the deer. The desert, it creates illusion of water. There's water to quench its thirst, but it doesn't want. The more it approaches, the more the mirage continues to move forward, and eventually it fades away, and then there's absolutely nothing there. And on the process, the deer dies of exhaustion in the desert land because there's no water. It was just an hallucination or an illusion that was created because of the phenomena as we know it, right, called mirage. Now, what does it mean for human beings, right? We are seeking happiness. Soul seeks happiness, and our interface with the world is our senses. And the interesting part of this is that you go ask somebody, have you become happy? The happiness that you were seeking with that person will say, no, I haven't. But then I know somebody who has, right? Because the way we look at the world is, you know what, these things, if some person has, or their Facebook pics or their Insta pics or something that they have seen about them, or the way they go about it, that must be happiness. And we keep striving for it. So we may not have gotten happiness, but then I know somebody who knows, who is happy. In fact, this is a question I asked one of my acquaintance or friend, who made it pretty big with regards to material success, hitting seven figures pretty early on in his life and stuff like that. So I asked him, has it made you happy? One day I thought, let's strike a philosophical conversation with him, because he said, no, not quite, but then I know somebody who is. So that gave me this perspective that everybody is thinking, why do we keep on striving for something? Because we think only if we have this particular thing, then we'll be happy. Or even if we haven't gotten it, we think somebody else has. And then this quest continues, and we think that somebody else has, and this quest continues in this life and even beyond this life, right? It continues, and then it continues to torment us. So Maya is creating an illusion, like desert created an illusion in that sand, and we keep running after that illusory happiness, like the deer continued to run after that illusory water which never existed, to quench the thirst. In this case, it is analogous to thirst of our senses. The deer was running after water. We are trying to quench our thirst of our senses by trying to satiate it. But no matter how much we try, happiness continues to be elusive. It continues to run further and further away. Garud Puran says, a king wishes to be the emperor wishes to be celestial god seeks to be Indra seeks to be Brahma, and yet the thirst of material enjoyment does not get satiated. A person may grow old, but their desire would still remain young. And that can continue till the peak of this material world, that even after that, it will not be satiated. In fact, it is said if you have material desire, the size of God is unlimited. He's the biggest, bigger than the biggest. Even if we have a desire which is fulfilled to the extent of God's size, still it will remain unsatiated. And our scriptures tell us very clearly, nobody has become happy by trying to satiate their desires. It's just like putting fuel in fire. It will not douse the fire, it will fuel it further. So one way is to take the word of scriptures and do something about it. Second is, no, let me be there first, experience it, and then douse it, or let it get exhausted. So both options are there. The wiser way is to take the word of scriptures, because life is limited, time is limited, and then in the process we may be losing precious time if we continue to seek this unending quest. Moving on. Now here is a gentleman, and let me make it gender agnostic, okay, the girl as well, so that both of them are thinking something. What do we think? It's basically they are representing all of us. They're proxy for people, pretty much the world that we see around us. Now, how do we try to satiate our desires, right? Seeking, right? It could be through buying things, acquiring things. These days, it's very easy. You go to Amazon and order whatever you want. Online option is available. So we acquire things, we buy things, we purchase things. That is one way of trying to satiate or extract happiness from this world. Some people, whenever they feel depressed, shopping is the good way to go. Okay, I'm going to shop to feel better about life. Okay, so this might be one of the ways. Or, through some of the things that they think would give them happiness, the latest car or that car that I always thought about, the sports car I wanted to own, or that purse or that particular um, thing that I always wanted to lay my hands on. That could be one of the things we're trying to satiate it with. Or for that matter, through work, some people try to find happiness in their work, that it's going to give me job satisfaction and my work is my rebound. So when they get stressed out in their life, they double their work. Okay, cut off the family even further and things, because they think that is their stress buster. Working is their stress buster. That can happen too in life. And then uh, becoming like alcoholic, you can become workaholic as well. There are type 2 personalities who are always looking for when is the next message going to come, my phone is going to beep so that I can respond back to it, right? Type A or type B, they call it. Or I mean, these kind of things. Or for that matter, they might be thinking about each other, right? We seek happiness through people also. Um, you never know, right? In that case. Now, in this case, we are looking for happiness on the outside, in other people, in those meetings, in our tiresome work, material objects. uh, we end up buying anyways, acquiring things that we don't need. And still, it doesn't feel right. Through our experience, we know it's like that aha feeling is still not coming. That sinking feeling doesn't change. It's like you may get something short-lived, but then again, you think something is still missing. This is called the feeling of 99, right? Let's say there's a cricketer who has played throughout his life, and they have always been dismissed on 99. It's a very big regret they would have, because nobody remembers what they did. Everybody remembers who scored a century. So it's like living on 99, that one elusive run you never get. That's how life continues. Or for that matter, a top seeded tennis player who never gets to win a Grand Slam. Or for that matter, Wimbledon, right? Ivan Lendl, I remember, he used to be a great player. He said I would, but he could never win Wimbledon, which is one of the coveted titles in tennis. And in one of interviews, he was saying that I would trade off all of my other Grand Slams, right? French Open, US Open, whatever else he had won. He had pretty much won on all the courts for that one elusive title, Wimbledon. He also had that sense something was missing. So the point is, the human life is meant to be like that, because we are seeking something. The question here is that why is happiness is elusive despite our best efforts, right? This is the key question that needs to be understood. And we try to fill that through all the things around us. I want to get it happiness from here, from people, from objects, from work, and all kind of things. So what our scriptures tell us is, what you are trying to do is trying to extract milk out of water. Not milk out of water, no. It's actually butter out of water. Okay, this is a typo here. Can we extract butter out of water even though that water may seem white, or like lime water? We cannot. Or for that matter, can you extract oil out of sand? You cannot. As scriptures tell us, you just cannot. Or can a grass grow on a tortoise shell? This analogy is given in Ramayana. I don't know who came up with. I mean, it's pretty interesting. A saint has come up with. Can it grow on a tortoise shell? It cannot. But our scriptures say all these impossible things might get possible, might be possible. However, extracting happiness is not. Why? Because the direction itself is wrong. The direction that we have taken is wrong. So when we talk about direction, let's continue to build, and it is impossible. Okay, so what you are trying to do here, what here you are seeing on the screen, it may be possible. We know it is not possible. It may be possible. But for you to extract happiness from this world is impossible, because the direction in which you are going itself is wrong. Fundamentally, you need to make a correction, course correction. And what is that correction? So let's look at it. Now, here's a gentleman, you see, is running like there is no tomorrow. Now he's running in the direction of what are the things we looked at in the world, right? From relatives, from friends, house, car, work, etc. Right? This is the direction all of us are running in, because we are convinced that we are going to extract happiness one day running in this direction. And that is why the analogy of Kasturi Mirig is given. So what our scriptures tell us, all you need to do is, turn your direction towards the perfect bliss that we spoke about, who is God himself. And this happiness is not lying on the outside where you have to search for it, right? So direction correction, that's all. is needed. Okay, and this happiness is within you only. Right? We have spoke about Paramatma and we saw God is bliss. There's no difference between God and bliss. He's resided within you only. So this is the happiness that we are seeking, and it is the direction correction that is needed. That's all. It's like somebody was supposed to go to Kashmir. Okay, somebody told them, you know what, happiness is there in Kashmir, and he said, okay, I will start proceeding towards Kashmir. However, he didn't have a compass or a guiding, something to guide him or the map. And then he started walking towards Kanyakumari. And when he reached Madhya Pradesh, he had the sanity to ask somebody, how far Kanyakumari is from here. Or somebody met him on the way. He said, by the way, where are you going? He said, I'm going to Kashmir. So this same man told him, if you're going to Kashmir, you have gotten it all wrong. You are actually heading southwards. You were supposed to go northwards. So he said, really? Then what would this person do? Any logical person, what would they do? Simple, turn the direction. And that is what our scriptures are telling us. What you are seeking, the place that you want to go is perfect. You are seeking happiness, that is perfectly okay. But when the saints come, or our scriptures are telling us that you have gotten it all wrong when it comes to the direction in which you are going. You just need to change the direction and then start walking towards it, start making progress. So to change it from south to north, and you will start making progress towards where you truly wanted to reach. With that, I will now tomorrow I will talk about the different levels of devotees. Now the running devotee you are seeing, right? Now we are all running at different levels and different stages. I'll touch upon that tomorrow. There are levels, different levels as scriptures say, at level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, because it's a journey. It's not a 0 to 1 that you sleep one day, you listen to a shloka, and next day you wake up where you are in a perpetual or a perfect bliss that Lord Krishna is talking about. So we'll talk about those different levels, but any questions so far on what we have discussed or spoken about? Somebody has to raise their hand. Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Sandhya.
No question, actually, a comment on this graphics. It's really cool and funny.
Okay.
But now actually comes the question. So when the direction got changed, whatever is in the hand need not stay there, right?
Yeah, so I didn't have the power to make that vanish because it's one picture monolithic. So yeah, it's like, yeah, even see the time is limited, time is running out, watch still remains. And the wealth, the quality of wealth changes. First, you're looking for material wealth, now you're going for spiritual wealth. Okay, so it'll actually the quality or the of wealth would also change. So both can remain. The perspective around that changes. We think that all the acquisitions that we are going to make in this world, right? You see this relatives, the friend, the bonding, and all that stuff that we get, or the whatever we are acquiring, it is something that is going to give us happiness. But then none of it can actually remain with us. They say that इस दुनिया में क्या कमाए क्या हीरे क्या मोती बट क्या करें यारो कफन में जेब नहीं होती. So none of it can be carried forward in any of the lifetimes. The only thing that you can carry forward is the spiritual assets that you have acquired. And the biggest spiritual asset one can acquire is the love for God. Now, if you started in this life with this much love for God, this much surrendered or faith to God, and in this life you have done this much, just an iota more, life is a success. On the other hand, you started this much and you did not add anything, and you focused your time, energy, emotions, pretty much everything else in acquiring material things. Um, it counts for nothing basically, right? It is said the prem dhan is the real wealth. The love for God is the real wealth. Even if you have acquired a drop of it in one life, your life is a success. On the contrary, you might be a highly successful life, very famous, powerful, rich, wealthy, influential. From a material yardstick, it is a successful life. But from a spiritual standpoint, that life is still a failure if you have not added to the drop of, added not even a single drop of love for God. This is how it goes.
And a few comments, like many people have said that this is so funny, this graphic, and it's pretty nice, like the picture of the running devotee. And
Yeah.
Indira ji is saying wonderful lecture.
All right. Yeah. No, it's good. At least that guy, this GIF is captivating your imagination as long as it is able to drive home the point. I think that was the whole message. So we are running in a direction. See, we have there's a spiritual law. One of the first spiritual law is that you do not have a choice but to seek happiness. Nobody can negate that. Nobody has a choice. You cannot. It is a spiritual law. But then when it comes to the direction in which you are seeking, that's where you have a choice. So you don't have a choice whether to seek happiness or not, but you do have a choice in which direction to seek. Okay. So this is how it works. And then there's another spiritual law. You have no choice but to serve. When it comes to seva, that is the dharma or the inseparable quality of being a human being. Like, for example, let's say the dharma of fire, fire is to be hot and to provide light. Can you separate that from, let's say, I'm going to have a fire which is not hot or which cannot provide light? We cannot. The dharma of water is to be wet. Have you seen dry water anywhere? No, you cannot. The dharma of ice is to be cold. Have you seen hot ice somewhere? You cannot. They are called oxymorons, by the way, in English. The dharma of sugar is to be sweet. Have you seen salty sugar anywhere? You cannot. Similarly, the dharma of human beings when they are born is to serve. Nobody can remain without serving anybody. If you have nobody to serve, you will be serving a pet. Okay, you would see that. If you don't have, you would end up serving, right? You are serving people around, you're serving your family, you're serving your body. So nobody can remain without serving. So the dharma as humans is to serve. And there's a reason for that. Why to serve? Because we are a fragmental part of God. And if you look at this entire creation, everything is serving others. Is there anything which is holding things for themselves? Nothing. Trees are serving, oceans are serving, even the earthworms are serving, flowers are serving, the bees are serving, they are doing the cross-pollination because of which we are alive. Clouds are serving, they are carrying the rain to the parts of the world where the lands they need it. Everything is serving the other. And similarly, humans are also supposed to serve. Now, the choice, we have no choice but to serve. That is also a spiritual law. But we have a choice whom to serve. Do we choose to serve the world or do we choose to serve God? Now, you would say, no, I'm given a family and everything. I have to work. How can you say I serve God? That is where Karam Yoga comes in. You serve the world and yet you are serving the God. Why? Because your consciousness is in God. The world will not demand your mind. Nobody cares where your mind is. They want your work and attention. They just want your work. Are you cooking for them? Are you taking care of them? Have you done the laundry? Yes. But where your mind is, nobody cares. You can have that mind in God and your whole thing you can divert towards world. So you can actually build that consciousness where even though you are serving the world, outwardly, inwardly, you could still be serving God. And that will take us closer to the bliss that we have always been seeking. And that is essentially the course correction in the direction that we have spoken about. Okay. What was the question? I don't know what I rambled, but anyways. Any more questions related to this topic? Why we need to change the direction and why it is important for us to change the direction. Are we convinced we need to change the direction? If you're not convinced, we can have a discussion now. That was the whole idea. I cannot be the only one who's talking today. If you're enjoying this animation, maybe a question would come in your mind as well. And by the way, the God, the Paramatma element is seated within us. Okay, it's not far off. He's seated right within us. And the yoga is the union of Atma with Paramatma. And when you tap into that bliss is so intoxicating that people do not want to get out of samadhi. If you are wondering how would people sit without eating, without doing any activity, and they just don't want to get out of it, that is the bliss you experience in samadhi. And that bliss remains permanent. See, samadhi is like, okay. So in any other path, so when you are in samadhi, you are in that bliss. But when you're out of samadhi, you're out of it. But this bliss that we are talking about, God realization, remains with you forever, right? When you do it through bhakti. Now, let's say you are in a samadhi, you're sitting. It is like a sarang bee. Sarang bee is the honey bee. You've seen some people when you throw stone at a beehive and then the honeybees, they start chasing you. They'll chase you until they can find you and sting you. But then what the person does is he goes underwater, because bees cannot come underwater to sting him. So he's saved from the bee. But when the moment he'll come out of the water, the bee will again come back and sting that person. So same thing happens when you experience this bliss through samadhi, because it's a temporary thing at that point. When you come out of samadhi again, you're back in material world. It's like you have come down again. But you can retain that bliss when you have completely rejected the pleasures of senses and turned your focus inwards for good. And people who become Jivan Mukta, or who are tapping into that bliss, like saints do, they are always situated in that bliss. They are not getting out of water. They are always underwater. They are always submerged in that bliss perpetually, forever. Yes, Sandhya.
So, like, just to take this discussion forward, we know that we need to change the direction, but then can we also discuss the tools to do so? Because there's conditioning of multiple lifetimes, right? It's not.
Yeah, we can talk about tools. You want to do it in this? We can certainly talk about. See, first of all, how does it work? Anything that we do, why does it work? We first of all, we get the access to knowledge from somewhere. Let's say somebody has decided to say, I'm going to become healthy or build a six pack. Then what do? They go to an authority who has actually done that. They have reason to believe. They go to that authority and listen to them or read their book. This is where it starts. That is getting the knowledge. And when you get the knowledge, then you think about it. And you think about it, you are convinced, I need to give up sugar. I need to do crunches or these exercise. I need to follow a strict routine to do that. And then you put it into practice. So same way here, the doctor or the person who can tell you how you get closer to God or tap into the fountain of bliss that we've been talking about, what are the tools and technologies around it? The theory aspect of it is given to us by saints. So first we need to find a saint or a guru and get convinced. Our intellect has to get convinced. It's a three-step process, right? Chintan, Shravan, Manan, and Nididhyasan. So first we acquire knowledge, then we contemplate upon it, ruminate upon it, convince our intellect. And once our intellect is convinced, we start making um, progress towards that as well, right? Somebody asked Swamiji, what made you choose this path or become a saint? Did your girlfriend ditch you or something like that happened in your life? So he said, no, I simply believed in this knowledge. It's a very simple answer. He believed in this knowledge. So when we start truly believing, then we will prioritize our efforts and our endeavors around it as well. So it's a part of convincing, waking up every day and convincing yourself, because this knowledge will keep on slipping because of our past conditioning. Every day we have to give ourselves a motivation, reason to tell what is my goal and what am I going to do today, or what are the things that I need to work on to keep on marching forward in the right direction and not in the Kanyakumari direction. I have to go to Kashmir.
So, should one worry about actively leaving the material consciousness, or just focus on developing the divine consciousness, and that will happen as a byproduct?
I don't know, I'm not an expert on it. These are all questions for Swamiji, but I can tell you whatever I've heard is, so you add God to the mix, right? In your, so I always go back to the simple thing that I understand. Okay, at least I have understood is, go back, continue the fundamentals, don't leave those seva, satsang, and sadhana, and keep deepening that practice. Especially your ekant sadhana, that goes a long way. That solitude that you do is like sharpening the axe that will set you up nicely for the rest of the day. And if it is not working, we need to double the dose, because there's no third thing, fourth, fifth, sixth thing, right? So seva, satsang, sadhana. If we have these three fundamentals added in our life, uh, then I think that should hold us in, put us in good stead down the line. Also, the concept of Karam Yoga, whatever we are doing, let's make it devotional as opposed to keeping it secular. That is a consciousness we have to mindfully, consciously inculcate. And we have to keep triggers for ourselves, right? Whether it is putting the picture of Guru, whether it is reminding yourself, setting up a reminder for yourself, whether it is revising some piece of knowledge that has really stuck with you, that we all have to individually figure out what works best for us. But the more we can spend time in this, it's like reaching that ignition temperature. You keep on striking a wood, you do it 50 times, and then you leave it. Then it comes in contact with the atmosphere and loses, the temperature cools off. Then you strike it for 100 times. Again, the heat is produced, but not quite to an extent where it can generate a spark or fire out of it. then again it is cooled. So the same problem happens with us. We strike it and we reach a particular thing, but we are yet not able to cross that threshold. So the key is to not lose that intensity, and then beyond a point, once it catches fire, then it will start burning on its own. So that is called bhav bhakti. We have to reach that level. So if there is a milestone that we can set for ourselves in this lifetime, unless one of you or some of you might have already perfected it, it is perfecting the sadhan bhakti. Sadhan bhakti is the bhakti that we do through our means, using our sadhans. Sadhans is using this body, our mind and intellect. When we do that, when we perfect it, the peak of sadhan bhakti is you enter into bhav bhakti. If you have reached that stage also, it's a great milestone to be in. And when you enter the bhav bhakti, then God's yog maya starts entering your meditation, enlivening it, showing you leelas that you have never thought about. Those kind of things will start happening. So sadhan bhakti is something where we have to forcefully take our mind to God and build that consciousness and reach that ignition temperature where it starts getting set. It's like pretty much in an autopilot mode from that point onwards. So that will be a good milestone to have, where we are forcing ourselves, because mind will not cooperate because of our eternal lifetimes conditioning that it has. So we have to really force it and we have to fight with it. There's no other way. Yes, Rahul?
Radhe Radhe, Monica ji, and go ahead.
Yes, Monica ji, good to see you back. Welcome back. You are
Thank
a
you.
Vrindavan returnee now, so go ahead,
I
please.
was telling everybody if RKT was not here, I didn't want to go back. Vrindavan is such. Anyways, so Nitish, I wanted to ask, how do you know? I mean, I kind of know, but then how do you know that you have entered Bhav Bhakti?
How do you know you have entered Bhav Bhakti? So yeah, one of the symptoms that I have learned in lectures, yeah, I'm not there. I hope I can be one of the days by associating with elevated devotees like you. But then one of the symptoms that I have heard is in sadhan bhakti, your mind is in world and you have to force it to take it to God. Force. Right? You are like, mind naturally goes to world like gravitational pull, and then you say,
Right.
no, I need to bring it back, need to bring it back, need to bring it back. That happens. In Bhav Bhakti, the reverse starts happening. Your mind is in God and you have to force it to come back to the world so that you can operate effectively, right? Your kid is asking you for something and you are immersed somewhere, so then you will not be effective in this world. So now reverse starts happening. Your mind is in world, God, and then you step back to operate effectively in this world because you have to discharge your stuff as well, right? Otherwise, there could be trouble that can happen around you. So that is the one symptom that I've heard. If there are more, you can share it with us.
Transitioning.
Okay. No,
Let's just say that. Okay.
that's good.
Mhm. But then if someone enters Bhav Bhakti, Nitinji, it's very difficult to operate in the world, right? Because for example, there's
God,
job, there's
God takes care of it right now. Even gopis, I don't know, they were probably in Mahabhav, not even Bhav. No,
true.
yes, their stuff used to be taken care by Krishna. So if the roti they are doing and they've gotten into some kind of a samadhi, then he'll make sure that it is not burnt so their husbands and their in-laws don't make a scene out of it, right? So he takes care of it. Of course, he's there always, right? So we have to we can bank on his support at that level, is how I understand it.
Wow, sounds nice. Thank you.
So your cooking and your daily chores and laundry and everything will be taken care of. Okay. So if you reach that stage, you don't have to worry about it. If that is your question. Okay, let's hear. So God is saying, I'm on your demand, basically. I'll take care of everything. Yes, Aparna ji.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
We also hear that we need to live in the moment, do not multitask, etc. So when I travel or meet family, I think I have to do justice and spend quality time with them when we meet. Here we are talking that we can never let go of spiritual practice and everyday sadhana. How do we balance?
Satat Yuktanam. Yeah, that is the thing, right? Now, why God is saying Satat Nirantar? I'll tell you the reason. There's a technicality behind it. We said that in bhakti should be three things: Nan, Nishkam, Ananya, and what is the third one? Nirantar.
Yeah.
Nirantar.
Yeah. Why Nirantar? Because in Bhagavad Gita also, I think it is mentioned this word Tesham satat yuktanam. Tesham satat word is used, nirantar or continuity is used maybe around 10 to 11 times. I can get that. Okay, I was checking it out once. It is used so many times by Lord Krishna. Now think about it. We could die any moment, right? Now, at that moment, if your mind is, and then God also says that the thought that you have, the last thought that you have will determine the trajectory of your next life. So, technically speaking, unless we have practiced thinking about God at all the times, any moment could be a last moment. And then if it is occupied in something else, gone, opportunity is gone. So, there's a reason he's giving that. Now, having said that, again, going back to the same thing, yes, we have to spend quality time with the family. Now, let's say you're going out with a dinner with your family. They're concerned about you going out with dinner with them and eating and smiling at them. They're not concerned about what is going on inside you. That is still your private matter. So the hope is that once we reach that stage, that your dhyan and your immersion in God is reached a level where it is a continuous thing that is going on regardless of what you are doing. And you can actually practice doing Radhe Radhe with every breath, even when you're talking to somebody, practice it out. Maybe this is one of the activities we can do during family camp, practical application of Raganuga Bhakti. You talk to a person, respond to them, and still Radhe Radhe is going on. So that is the whole idea. And if we don't have Nirantarta, where even Bhagavad Gita's message, Nirantarta, Satat Yuktanam, that we are talking about, and Lord Krishna tells to Arjun, Sarveshu Kaleshu, right? He's not saying Sarveshu Kaleshu minus dinner time or quality time with your family. He's saying every moment you have to. The reason for that is unless you practice that, then any moment could be your last moment, and then you lose out on that opportunity. So that practice has to be deepened. Humans, if somebody would know that tomorrow or after a week, like Parikshit had that advantage, or the next moment is going to be my last moment, so many things can be done. Person will surrender immediately, or people will come and get signatures from them for their inheritance and stuff like that. So many things can get accomplished, but the point is nobody knows which moment is the last one. And that is why God says, practice nirantarta always. That will help you. Otherwise, if you don't have nirantarta, you don't know which thought will occupy your mind, and then no matter what you have done will come to nothing at that point. I hope that helps. Yes, Tejas, and then we'll come to Pratyusha.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe. So I was thinking, if you inculcate prasad buddhi, and if you are equanimous in the ups and downs, right, that itself will be indicative that you have bhav bhakti, right? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. If you practice prasad buddhi and if you are equanimous, that itself is a path to bhav bhakti. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong.
So if you are in Bhav Bhakti, you would be equanimous. But if you're equanimous, you
Okay,
cannot be yet reach the Bhav Bhakti at that point, right? This is something you're
okay,
practicing right now. Maybe it's perfection, but yeah, there's no cause and effect. Yes, when you're in Bhav Bhakti, you would anyway be immersed in God and you'll have acceptance around anything. But when you're practicing it, you may or may not be there, right? So it's the other way around, I would see it.
it's the other way around. Okay, okay, okay. Yeah, thanks.
Yes, Pratyusha?
Radhe Radhe everyone, Radhe Radhe sir. So
Okay.
actually one point about Bhav Bhakti which just now came in my mind was, if we are looking for like four pious people are going to God, right? Stressed, curious, for worldly positions and looking for knowledge. So if all of these people are actually looking for something, so the person who's not looking for something and still attached to God, probably that person is in Bhav. This just an thought that came to my mind. But I wanted to say something that I came across um, an Instagram feed where they say that 2 minutes of anger actually causes 7 hours of stress in our body and release of cortisol. So, what is the harmful effect of cortisol? High BP, clogging of arteries, diabetes, immune suppression, cancer. So, this actually not only just happens to the person that is angry, it happens to the other person on whom they have become anger. You know,
Mhm.
so that person is also in stress. So 7 hours of, and even in our, we say when you point finger at someone else 3 times, that finger is at pointing at yourself. So I was just thinking that if I'm angry at someone, probably the effect is multiplying into 3, that is 7 into 3, 23 hours, 21 hours, sorry, probably. Now, what is the effect of being nice? So if you're nice, that nice means you're having good qualities. Good qualities means that there itself you're having purity of mind. You develop these qualities, humbleness, absence of ego, non-violence, all of that. And what happens is everyone around you is happy, so they are in good health. They will have calmer mind, you will have calmer mind, 3 times more. Your intelligence will rise. You will
Yes.
naturally develop detachment, compassion, and service. So I just asked chatbot that what happens where when you actually, sir, you said now that when we perform sacrifice service, what that's something that we aspire to do towards God and Guru, right? So what happens in that? How it elevates in my spiritual journey? And the answer that came was expansion of consciousness, purification of mind, surrender and devotion, and attraction of divine grace. So this happens when we are nice to people, when we develop divine qualities.
Very nice. Thank you, Pratisha. I think you summed it up. And also, when we do meditation and stuff like that, it triggers our parasympathetic system as well, where our body not only heals, repairs, but it can stretch your the capacities to levels and limits where it does not come back to its original place, right? So once your mind expands, and that can happen typically during solitude and these kind of meditative practices, it's not only helpful for our body, but also it can expand the abilities and the limits of our mind as well. And all the noble qualities that we talk about, they are like positive energies. Once you bring in a positive energy, it attract more of it. And same thing goes with the negative energy as well. So it's like a pack of noodles we spoke about. All the virtues that we said, it's not possible that somebody is trying to practice non-violence and that person becomes dishonest, right? So all the other qualities will start following suit as well. Thank you, Pratusha, for that. Rahul, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I wanted to add two things. The first one is with regards to Aparnaji's question. I think we can utilize the power of root dhyan also, where we can think Thakurji is sitting in front of us at the dinner table along with our family members. We can be super cheerful, happy, smile also by looking at the family members and our Thakurji.
Root
And
dhyan,
the
yes.
and the second thing, I really like the animation where that devotee is running towards Thakurji. But for that to happen, he has to remain fit. And that is where Dallas Yoga Fest comes up, because this is the upcoming Dallas Yoga Fest, which is coming up. And we have a 1 minute short reel. If time permits, we can show that.
Sure, we can do that. Let me stop share. Yeah, Dallas Yoga Fest. By the way, tomorrow we have the family camp open house, so please come up. We are going to get to know about family camp, so many things that you were not aware of. So if you are sitting on the fence, not yet made up your mind, and you need more information, please come, and we'll have a lot of testimonials from some of the familiar faces as well. So please do come up. It's at 8 p.m. Central, I believe, before the
Yes,
session.
8 p.m. there, Central.
Yeah, 8 p.m. Central. So please do come up as well. Go ahead, Rahul. You wanted to show something.
Yeah. Let me know if you can see the screen.
Yes, we can see the screen, Rahul.
शरीर और शुद्ध विचार जो हो तो हर दिन त्योहार स्वस्थ शरीर और शुद्ध विचार जो हो तो हर दिन त्योहार स्वस्थ शरीर और शुद्ध विचार जो हो तो हर दिन त्योहार स्वस्थ शरीर और शुद्ध विचार जो हो तो हर दिन त्योहार आई ऐसी मुसीबत जिसमें नहीं किसी को बख्शा ऐसे में सबसे आवश्यक स्वास्थ्य की हो रक्षा रंग राग से मनाए उत्सव पर भूले ना साथ स्वस्थ शरीर और शुद्ध विचार जो हो तो हर दिन त्योहार स्वस्थ शरीर और शुद्ध विचार जो हो तो हर दिन त्योहार स्वस्थ शरीर और शुद्ध विचार जो हो तो हर दिन त्योहार स्वस्थ शरीर और शुद्ध विचार जो हो तो हर दिन त्योहार
That was a good music and punchline
Our
created.
yeah,
It was almost like that lipo ad used to come, right? Tandurusti ki raksha karta hai. Anyways, it was a good.
Rahulji, you're muted.
Yes, Rahul.
No, I think yeah, I'm done here with that after showing that video. And we have the link is already there in the chat
Okay.
for the yoga
And
participation.
and I think we can unmute Shyamji as well. He has something to share. Shyamji?
Yes, Shyamji, go ahead.
Radhe Radhe.
Then we are nearing our devotional segment as
Yes,
well.
yes, yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
Shyam, go ahead, please. Good to see you,
Just want to
Shyamji.
say that yesterday I met Rahul Bhai at Vancouver. It was a
Oh,
great
wow.
fun meeting him, and after a long means since seeing each other on Zoom and then meeting in person is real wonderful meeting. And luckily he is traveling next week to US. And it so happened that we had to meet next week, but we met Saturday.
Oh,
It's all
nice.
the way it happens. And it's Rahul Bhai is he's there. Rahul Bhai.
Rahul bhai, can you at least say the feeling was mutual?
The feeling was mutual. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. No, it's good. I hope you caught up with some good food as well. We have Vancouver area. You have a lot of good restaurants.
Yes, we went to Happy Singh and had chaat and chana bhatura and
Very nice.
ali.
Great. I'm glad
Thanks
you
to Rahul Bhai. Yeah.
So would be good if you can come here to US as well and we could meet, one of these days. So you have to apply for the visa for that.
See, that's what Monica ji is also asking. Is he not coming to the US?
Not this time, Monica ji.
There's a
Next time.
technical problem. He's not applied for a visa. Otherwise, he could have made
Yes.
it.
Right.
So
For
please
sure.
fill out the feedback tracker. And if you have any recommendations from Shyamji, do write it out as well. I'll pass it on to him. Okay. So thank you.
so much.
I'm glad
Also,
you could meet. Yes, go ahead, Sandhya. Before we
just
get
that
to our
I
emotions.
see these requests in the chat that regarding the class recordings. So yeah, I think Rahulji has shared the link of the YouTube channel where you can find the previous class recordings. So yeah, you can check that out.
Yeah,
And
just
I
shared it
can,
again.
yes,
shared
thank
it
you.
again.
And feedback tracker, Nitinji has already announced. So I can now move to the devotional segment, Nitinji.
Yeah, let's move to devotional segment. We can probably have two or three hands, and then tomorrow we'll continue on this. Like I said, I'll talk about the different levels of this journey with regards to turning your senses inwards, and we'll talk more about that. Okay,
And actually today's Bhakti Shatak verse relates with what we were discussing.
This happens always. Whatever we're talking, Bhakti Shatak verse also coincides with that. Go ahead. Let's get started on this one.
काम क्रोध मद लोभ कहाँ मन मूरख मत छोड़ राधे राधे रसिक शिरोमणि श्याम ढिग दे इनको मुख मोड़ राधे राधे जय राधे कृष्ण राधे राधे Radhe Krishna Radhe. O foolish mind, do not bother to leave anger, passion, and greed. Instead, divert them all towards Sri Krishna, who is the crest jewel of the Rasiks.
Very nice. Thank you, Sandhya. Do we have any more hands?
Yes, many. Shyamji?
We can take probably 2 or 3. That's it. 3 hands. Yeah. Go ahead, Shyamji.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
काम क्रोध मद लोभ कहाँ मन मूरख मत छोड़ राधे राधे रसिक शिरोमणि श्याम ढिग देन को मुख मोड़ राधे राधे जय राधे कृष्ण राधे 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 कृष्ण राधे
Very
राधे
nice.
राधे
Thank you.
Dinesh ji, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Dinesh ji.
काम क्रोध मद लोभ कह मन मूरख मत छोड़ राधे राधे रसिक शिरोमणि श्याम दिग देन को मुख मोड़ राधे राधे Jai Radhe Krishna Radhe 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 Krishna Radhe Radhe Radhe.
Very nice. Thank you, Dinesh. Last but not the least, Riya ji, go ahead.
Radhe Radhe Riya ji.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe.
काम क्रोध मद लोभ कहाँ मन मूरख मत छोड़ राधे राधे रसिक शिरोमणि श्याम दिग दीन को मुख मोर राधे राधे जय राधे कृष्ण राधे 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 कृष्ण राधे
Very nice. Thank
राधे
you.
राधे
So this verse says that a foolish mind do not bother to leave anger, passion, and greed. Instead, divert them all towards Sri Krishna, who is the crest jewel of all the rasics. So yes, anger, passion, greed, all of it can be dovetailed towards God as well. Anger because why am I not able to make progress even though I've gotten a guru and this message as well. Passion, for more bhakti, to know more about God and to be with Him, unite your will with Him, and greed to, crave for more seva and more bhakti and more immersing more in the rasa of God. So all those things which are liabilities on the material side can become assets when we dovetail it towards God. So great. Thank you again for your enthusiastic participation, especially for the ones who were able to turn their cameras on today. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Stay blessed. Have a wonderful rest of your evening and great rest of your day. So Radhe Radhe, good night, good day from my side. Thank you.
Radhe Radhe. Thank you.
Thank you.